Okay, so I'm back in this patch I showed off a couple tutorials ago. This is just a simple sine patch, and I'm doing a lot of velocity and key tracking, but I'm here for a different reason this time because I've got a custom reverb I made in Snap Heap without actually using reverb, and I'm just going to briefly go over how I made it and things you could do to make it your own reverbs. So I'm not an expert when it comes to actually programming VSTs, but to my knowledge, reverb plugins are often made using lots of delays to come together to make a softer wash of sound. In this case, I'm not using delays, but I'm using something similar. I'm using resonators. I have most of the typical controls you would see in a reverb, so I got the wet and dry levels. The dry is mapped to the gain on the first bus, and the first bus is the dry signal, so this is the level going out. This is the level of the dry signal going out, and there's no other processing being done to it. To get a parallel lane in Snap Heap, you just press the gray button on the bottom to toggle parallel lanes, and you can do 4 in parallel as well. You can do a bunch of different combinations. So the wet level is on another gain in the other parallel lane, all the way at the bottom. And then I have drift and pre-modulation. This knob is kind of pointless, but it's just for the chorus mix. It's not uncommon for reverb plugins to have modulation, and this is usually like a chorus of some kind. More likely though, it's probably just the time for the delays being modulated. It'd be similar to if you've ever played a sound and then changed the sound's delay time while you were playing it. It's that sort of effect, but done in a sort of vibrato LFO fashion. Drift is a more pronounced version of this knob. It's the pitch shifter jitter, and the jitter knob does what it sounds like it does. It just moves the pitch around a bit in a kind of vibrato effect. If I just move the pitch shifter to another lane and turn off this and turn up the jitter all the way, it's moving the pitch around. Pretty self-explanatory, I guess. I have 2 modulation knobs and I don't really need one of them, but that's what I did. In place of the pre-modulation, I would probably put a damping knob. I did something similar. So what I did is I got a high shelf and I routed it to a macro. I have the whole range covered, but it doesn't have to be so drastic. Obviously, this is more of a sound design oriented reverb, and it's a fairly primitive one. I think the part I was least satisfied with was the decay knob. I'm changing the pitch of all the resonators together. When the knob is all the way up, it's a couple seconds of decay, and when the decay is all the way down, I believe the chorus is left on and there's a slapback sort of effect, so it's a bit of a delay into a reverb kind of hybrid. So with the decay all the way down, it sounds like this. So the delays are clear, but they're a bit delayed, for lack of a better word. To get a shorter time, I could probably turn down the delay on the chorus. So I have this octave control, and at 0% it's an octave down, and at 100% it's an octave up. So at 50% it's in the center, and anywhere else it's some kind of odd number, I guess. It is kind of fiddly to get these kinds of macros set up with the pitch shift, but maybe that'll change in the future. I don't know yet. Pitch shift amount is just the mix. This pitch shifter, I guess, is just for the modulation. There were a few things I didn't do that you could definitely do. For example, I didn't use any delays, but the delay and resonators are not that different. At really low pitches, resonator ends up sounding like a delay. Also available to you are reverser, and you have stereo effects. You can make it mono if you wanted to have a stereo control. You could disperse it. That's definitely something you could do. Dispersing reverbs. In fact, I think that was something I had meant to do but ended up not doing. I have some compression on the end of the chain, and I also have some ring mod, which is just some noise with a little bit of spread just to smooth things out a little bit.